Hello, what's up my beautiful friends? Welcome back into another video. In this video I'm going to be talking about one of the most interesting vulnerabilities into the bug bounty world, which is going to be account takeover vulnerability. If you find this vulnerability in a bank application or a crypto application, you're going to be rewarded as a critical vulnerability or even a high vulnerability, which is a very cool vulnerability to look into this bug bounty program. If you have no idea about account takeover vulnerability, that's totally fine. I got you. And please click the like button and subscribe button. Let's just get started. So let's just talk more about account takeover vulnerability and how can real hackers actually hack into somebody else's account, or maybe if you're doing a bug bounty or a pen test, how can you actually find this vulnerability and achieve an account takeover. So in this video I'm going to discuss a little bit more about my personal tips that how I can find account takeover. Well, there is a lot of tips out there and there is a lot of techniques in order to find this vulnerability, but these are the current methods that I personally use in order to find these account takeover. So you can also use them. Also, you can get the conclusion or you can get the thoughts behind these tricks that I'm about to show you, and you can make your own methodology in order to find this vulnerability. What is actually an account takeover? Then I have these tips like OAuth misconfiguration, account takeover, and we have an OPERATE direct account takeover, we have an XSS account takeover, and a QR code account takeover, and a business logic account takeover. And also I have like a rate limit bypass, how you can actually bypass these rate limits when you have like a PIN code. They tell you out like type the 6-digit PIN code, like 4-digit PIN code in order to get into the reset password, etc. So these are the techniques and the ways that I personally use to find this account takeover. There is also other tips that I share into my Twitter account or my Instagram account. You can also check them out, but these are the most important tips that I personally use in order to find this vulnerability, which is an account takeover. So what is account takeover? An account takeover is a vulnerability where an attacker gains access to another user account using different techniques and chain bugs. So what I mean by different techniques and chain bugs, in order to achieve this vulnerability, like it's not just like XYZ or a step-by-step process you need to be doing it in order to access somebody else's accounts. It depends on the technology and it depends on the logic, how the developer or how this application actually works, and the attacker is going to use multiple vulnerabilities like XSS, OPERATE direct, or OAuth misconfiguration in order to achieve this kind of vulnerability. It's not like an XSS or maybe an SSRF, you put some payload and you will get like XYZ data, maybe an AWS configuration file or maybe an etc password, etc. Well, especially in account takeover, you need to use a lot of logic and a lot of thoughts and a lot of techniques in order to achieve this vulnerability exactly. We're gonna show you how this actually usually happens. So that's exactly what I mean by techniques and chain bug. Like they use like OPERATE direct with an XSS in order to steal like the victim cookie and then use this cookie in order to log into the victim account, or maybe an OPERATE direct in order to steal the auth token, etc. That's exactly what I mean by chain bugs, and that can be on a 0-click and 1-click account takeover. You may heard this term a lot, YouTube videos or maybe on Twitter or whatever platform you're using. What I mean by a 0-click with no user interaction, which is the extremely impactful bug. Like if you find an account takeover with zero interaction. What I mean by zero interaction, like you do not need to send some link to the victim, or maybe you put some stored XSS somewhere else and someone is gonna visit this page, then we're gonna steal his cookie. Here we have some user interaction, like the user have to do X, so we achieve Y, then we're gonna do Z in order to get into his account by stealing a cookie or whatever method that we're gonna try to do. That's what I mean by user interaction. But with no zero interaction, which is the most impactful bug, like you can hack anyone on the platform by just using some simple technique, maybe trying to bypass the rate limit. There is a lot of ways how you can actually do a 0-click account takeover. There is two types of account takeover. There is a 0-click and 1-click account takeover. There is 2-clicks account takeover, but like you're just saying, most of the applications do not accept this vulnerability because it requires a lot of user interaction, and when there is a lot of user interaction, the impact or the severity of your vulnerability or your bug is going to be lower. The less user interaction, the higher impactful your bug is. So let's just move on to the trick number 1, which is the OAuth misconfiguration account takeover. So in this step, let's just say we have an account linking, when the victim can actually link his account to Facebook, Google. So that's the application I was hunting on one of the bug bounty program. I cannot like disclose this with you. I'm very sorry. I get a lot of comments. People say like, share with us the POC. Like, this is very illegal, or if you're at least have some knowledge, you know that that's illegal. I cannot share my POCs with you, but these are the steps to reproduce, or how actually I found this bug on this bug bounty program. So I'll just read the description. An account takeover vulnerability was identified due a zero-auth misconfiguration in the account linking flow. What I mean by the account linking flow, like I have an application where you can link your Facebook or you can link your Google account to this account. I had this function. I noticed some like a URL that have like a code but without a state parameter. If you don't know anything about like a zero-auth misconfiguration, like a state parameter is considered like as a CSRF token if you know a little bit about CSRF. But in this case, I did not have the state parameter, so I exploited this. So let's just read through the report. The application allow a user to link a third-party identifier provider like Google or Facebook, as I mentioned, like from account techniques, but the generated zero authorization code is not properly bound in the initializing user session or protected against reuse. So this user, this link or this generated link, you can actually send it to somebody else, and this someone or the victim actually, when he clicks into this link, like you can see when we click like authorize, when we do confirm, like link this Facebook to the account, it generates us this link, and I send this link, you can see right here, send to the victim. When we send this link to the victim and he's gonna click it, it's actually gonna link our Facebook account into his account, which is the victim account. Then when everything is linked, we can go to the login page, basically use Facebook login or a Google login, and when we're gonna do Facebook login, we're gonna be redirected to the victim account. So that was actually the bug. You can read through it, you can pause the video and read through the vulnerability. Click link Facebook account or zero-auth pop-up opens selected provider after clicking confirm before zero-auth fully complete. So what I mean by zero-auth fully complete, right here, these configuration, this link right here, you can see it expired after the first use. So you need to be using Burp Suite or Kaido, whatever proxy interceptor you're using. So you're gonna be intercepting this link you're seeing. Then the browser actually executed or opened this link. You need to send this link to the victim in order to open it, and we link our session to his session. So that's basically that's a vulnerability that you see right here. You can pause the video and see the full report. You can see the impact, full account takeover, etc. That was the trick on the first trick. And now we'll just talk about the tip number 2, which is the QR code login account takeover. So this tip right here and this vulnerability, I found it on one of the most famous social media applications that we are currently using, and it's one of the coolest bugs I've ever found on an account takeover. So let's get you through this QR code login. So basically about this vulnerability, if you find a vulnerability that is using a QR code, like you can actually be logged in into your phone, the application is using the QR code login, so you're gonna get your phone and scan the QR code through the application, then you're gonna be automatically logged in. So I was thinking, so I'm gonna try to QR code this with a third-party application. So you can go to App Store or Play Store and install a third-party QR code scanner. Then you're gonna get this link. What if I send this link to the victim, or if the victim clicks this link, what's gonna actually be happening? So I tried to send this, and when I clicked it from a different phone, I noticed that the victim session is automatically logged into my web session or the attacker computer or attacker device. So I tried to replicate this scenario with multiple accounts and different IP addresses, because sometimes they are saying you need to be logged in on the same local network. They check if they are on the same local network. I tried it on a different device with a different IP, and it's really worked. It's become one of the most interesting vulnerability on an account takeover. So if you have any QR code login into any application, you can try this trick, or also you can try the logic behind it, because the tricks that I am showing you right now, you can actually find them on any web application. You don't need to replicate everything that I'm showing you. You can just use the logic behind it and the way I am thinking. Don't copy paste other hackers or other YouTube videos, if you're reading blog articles, don't just copy paste them. Try to understand how they got this idea or how they conclude this idea. So that's exactly how you can actually develop your hacker mindset or your hacker instinct. So I've never seen or I've never heard of this vulnerability before, but I was thinking critically and I was thinking, how can I actually exploit this, or how can a malicious hacker actually exploit this to achieve an account takeover? This is how I got into this vulnerability. As you can see right here, the mobile application had a scan QR code login feature, allowing users to authenticate without entering email and password. Due to improper validation of the QR token, an attacker could hijack a user's session by exploiting the login link generated by the QR scan. So the steps to reproduce: open the mobile, generate QR code, etc. Then you're gonna go to App Store, download a third-party QR scanner. Then when we're gonna scan this QR code that will show in the attacker device, it will generate us something like this, like a link like this. Then we're gonna send this link to the victim, and once the victim clicks it, it's gonna like authenticate his session, the mobile session, with our web session, and actually we can control his full account. Maybe it has contained a credit card that we can use into from his account to order something, or maybe do other things, read the messages, etc, etc. So that was one of the coolest account takeover tips or finding that I found on the past. Let's just move on to the tip number 3. The tip number 3, which is an Operate Direct account takeover. So I already found this Operate Direct and I already talked about it on one of the past videos of Operate Direct. So if you did not watch the Operate Direct video, I totally recommend going back to my channel and watch it, because it contains a lot of information inside it. So if you're interested, go ahead and watch it. So let's just move on. A full account takeover vulnerability exists due to a zero-auth misconfiguration to Google authentication flaw. The application fails to properly validate the bind of domain initiator redirect parameter to a user session, allowing the attacker to intercept the victim's zero-auth authorization code reused to authenticate to the victim. So we'll just read to the steps to reproduce. You can see craft a zero-auth authorization request and modify domain initiator. So you can actually pause the video and read through the POC. So I had a Google login, and this Google login, you can see right here, it contained a parameter called domain initiator. So I saw this parameter and I said, what if I replace this like domain or the application domain with the attacker server or my server? Actually, when I click this and send it to the victim, I noticed into my server I am receiving a secret code, which is the zero-auth code that I can personally use in order to authenticate to the victim. So basically I got into my server. So if you're asking how I can set up server, there is a lot of way. If you have Burp Professional, you can use the Burp Collaborator, or you can use PipeDream, which is like an API testing tool, but you can give you like a domain that you can actually intercept request inside it. So it's like an API application. I use it as a collaborator, and there is a lot of free collaborator out there, or you can use your own domain and use the logs on Apache or Nginx, whatever server you're using. I received the code. Then when I received it, I replaced the attacker server with the application domain. Then I opened this link into my browser, and actually it authenticated me into the victim session. That's the vulnerability right here. You can see sender crafted zero-auth. Basically I copied this and modified this part with my domain, which is the attacker server, obviously. As a victim, you can see right here, ensure the victim is logged in with Google account, basically to steal his zero-auth token. Then open the attacker supply zero-auth, which is this link right here. After successful Google authentication, it will generate something like this, like attackerserver.com. Then we're gonna receive this code. Then when we're gonna receive it, we're just gonna replace the attackerserver.com with the application domain. Then we're gonna open this link into our browser as an attacker. Then we're gonna get authenticated to the victim session. You can pause the video and read through the report. It's a very easy steps to reproduce. This is one of the coolest bug also to test it if you have a Google login, or maybe you have even an Operate Direct feature into the login. So if you don't understand about this, I already explained this vulnerability in details on the Operate Direct video. You can go ahead and watch it to this YouTube channel. So now we'll just move on to the tip number 4, which is a business logic account takeover. So we'll just read through the description. Business business logic vulnerability was identified during the checkout flow that leads to a PI disclosure. Basically, so this vulnerability, I already wrote a blog article on Medium. You can go ahead on Medium and type the same name of this YouTube channel, which is Zach0x01, and I explained this vulnerability in detail so you can read more about it. So the application allows a guest user to place an order using an email address that is not yet registered. So the application, you can actually make an order. If you already have an account, you need to be logged in order to make an order, basically. So you can actually make an order as a guest, but if you already have an account using this email, you need to be logged in. So I don't know if you understand it, but let's just read through the POC or steps to reproduce. Maybe you understand. As a victim places an order as a guest user using their email address, the order is successfully complete and stored by the application. The attacker registered a new account using the same email address as the victim. So basically what is happening right here, so you're gonna make an order using a non-registered domain. So you're gonna make a purchase as a guest user. Then the attacker, if this email don't have an account, the attacker is gonna grab this email and create an account using this email. As the application don't have any email confirmation, he can actually get into the account creation using this email because the victim never created an account. So he's gonna create an account, then he's gonna go to the settings, and the application have some API to check the previous purchases. When he creates an account using the victim email, he can see all the previous credit card used by this email or the victim. He can see the orders, the address, and the receipt, etc, etc. So that's basically the bug. So what is actually supposed to be happening right here, so when the victim, when he make an order as a guest user, after he completes, the application needs to force the user to type a password or automatically create an account for him. So that's the fix the application implemented after I reported this vulnerability. So now let's just move on to the tip number 5. So you can see right here, before we move on to tip number 5, that's like simple explanation. You can see I already have an account user. So the user already exists, you need to be logged in. So if you already have an account, you need to be logged in. But if never had an account as a guest user, you can actually make an order, but you still don't have an account. So that's the part when an attacker come and create an account with your email. Application don't have any email confirmation. That's why we are successfully creating an account behind the victim. That he cannot actually know that we created an account because there is no email confirmation. That's basically how I achieve account takeover. So now let's just go to the tip number 5, which is a rate limit bypass account takeover. So the description says, you can see right here, an account takeover vulnerability was identified due to the rate limit bypass in the OTP verification flow. So let me read this. I made this one. So you can pause the video and read it through all the reports, then you can hear my explanation. So basically what's happened right here, I had an application when there is a rate limit. For example, you type the email when you're gonna try to log in, but it's gonna send you an OTP to, like, they don't have a password, they only use the OTP. Basically, it's gonna send you like a confirmation email and the OTP. So when you're gonna try to brute force the OTP, if you don't know anything about brute forcing, basically a brute forcing or fuzzing, you're gonna try 0003, then 004, etc, etc, until you get to the right OTP or the right password. But in this case, they were rates limiting us after 5 requests. We're gonna get blocked, our IP is gonna get blocked after 5 requests. But I opened the confirmation link and I decoded it, and I noticed something interesting. You can see right here the confirmation link that will automatically get you through the account. You can see it contains the email parameter and it contains the code parameter, which is the OTP code, and we got the token, like a CSRF token, like it's all only for this user. When I saw the token, I automatically in my mind I said, okay, they have a token, I cannot actually do anything. But sometimes they have like a misconfiguration. They do not check if this token is for this user. They only check this token if it's used. So you need to really test everything. So basically I said the email parameter is guessable, so we can get the victim email, and the OTP was like a 6 character or 4 character, I still don't remember, you can read it just right here. So basically what I said, the email parameter is guessable and the OTP is guessable too, but this one is not guessable. It was like random characters. So I'm gonna try to send confirmation link to myself, then I'm gonna replace it with the victim email, then I'm gonna try to get the right OTP from the victim email. I'm gonna type it and saw that it really worked and logged into the victim. It did not check if the token it's for the attacker or it's for the victim. That's the part which is very interesting. So I replaced the OTP code. I tried to brute force it through the URL. I did not try to brute force it through the HTTP request of the first one right here. So when I was trying to brute force the OTP code through this link, it did not block me. It was like something like clicking a URL, but it was like a wrong link. Basically, that's how the application thinks, but we can actually brute force or bypass the rate limit just by visiting this URL and modifying the OTP code. So that was actually the bypass. You can see initiate login verification flow, send the OTP, and attempt to brute force. You can see the rate limit over a fixed number of limited after a fixed number of attempts. Open a verification email sent to the victim, inspect the verification link, observe that it was this kind. Note that the code parameter contains the OTP value. So I tried to brute force the OTP value, then I got logged in to the victim account. Basically, you can see right here, got rate limited, so I found a bypass, etc. Always inspect alternate authentication verification flow, not just the main endpoint. Means nothing if the same OTP can be reused elsewhere. So basically, that was the tip number 5. You can see the tip number 6. You can see right here, we got an account takeover vulnerability was identified through a stored XSS. So that's account takeover was through stored XSS. It was very classic one. So basically, I had an application when it can create a package, and into this package, on the package name, I was able to inject like a stored XSS payload. You can see this payload that I injected. Then when I injected this payload into the package name, I could have seen the pop-up of alert 1, so I can see it, but the package is only for the user. So until now, we are a self-XSS. We have a stored self-XSS, but we cannot actually deliver it to the victim. But there is a function on the application when you can actually search that package. So basically, I try to include the A when you're going to try to search this package. And for example, you're going to type the A character, is going to show you all the suggestions, and the package name contains this value right here. And also you can see the A, so it also shows on the suggestion. For example, when you go to Google, you type hacker and it will show you the rest of the suggestions. Then my package name that is already injected shows to the victim, then the XSS pop up and we can steal the cookie. You can use this payload to steal the victim cookie. You can see right here, document.location assigned. So basically, we are trying to redirect the user to the hacker.com, and you can see we are grabbing the cookie parameter, and I used BTOA, which is like it used base 64. So you're gonna try to hash the cookie through a base 64, then it's gonna send it to hacker.com. Then the hacker is gonna like decode the base 64 and you're gonna get the cookie of the victim. He can use it through HTTP request using burp or whatever technique you're gonna use, but if you got the cookie of the victim, basically you got his account. So that was the tip number 6. Before we end this video, if you want to learn more about bug bounty tips from me, basically I have a bug bounty course, but don't worry, this is not just like a classic bug bounty course. You get a full bug bounty course, plus you get a community when you can share your ideas, and also people can help you into your hacking, and I will personally be there to answer all your questions. So it's a bug bounty course, yes, I agree, and also it's a bug bounty community when you can share and help people, and they will help you too, and I will personally be there, update you every single day and share my personal tips and tricks, etc, etc. And you have a 24/7 chat support, and you can see access a private AI hacker. Basically, that's one right here. It's an AI when you can ask it any question, or you can get to the one-on-one private coaching when you can get into a call with me, and I will coach you through your bug bounty, and you can learn more tips from me personally through a live hacking calls, and we're gonna get through live hacking on real target together. So if you're interested, go ahead to lureu.shop, you can see right here, and join us basically. And also I share daily tips into my X account and my Instagram account. You can go there. Basically the Instagram account is way better because it's really organized. I only post bug bounty tips. You can go to my Instagram, or also you can go to my Twitter account where I also post about my bug bounty tips and progress, etc, etc. So if you're interested, you can go to my Twitter, Instagram, or you can join our hacking community through lureu.shop. So that's the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video, please click the like button and subscribe button. And if you have any question or you have any misunderstanding or some part you did not understand about this video, you can type it on the comment section. And that's it. See you in the next one.